really quite a big blowout. Most people would enjoy that. That gives you popcorn and the movies kind of stuff. And that's not dieting. It doesn't feel like you're restricted then, so you're more likely to succeed, because of course the best diet for you is the diet that you can stay on. Hey everybody, Daniel Little here, and I want to go through to my definition of the best diet. And really we're looking at creating flexible dieting so that there is no, you don't have to follow a strict plan. Now, sure, there are some people out there that love being dictated to. They would prefer an actual food plan. I know I need this many grams at this time of the day, and that's cool. If that's the way you prefer to go at, there are hundreds of programs online. In fact, I've got several programs that will completely dictate and help you understand what to eat, when to eat, and why to eat it. But for the majority of us, we want something called flexible dieting, where you can have that flexibility. You don't need to count everything, weigh everything, and track everything to understand. Now, I'm not a big calorie counter, and I will never recommend that you calorie count. However, it is good to be calorie conscious. You should be able to look at a meal and have a rough idea about how many calories are in there, because that's quite often one of the biggest places where we will be off track. You know, we will think that is a 380 calorie meal and it's actually 520 calories, and there you go, you've got an extra 140 calories out of nowhere. So it's good to be calorie conscious. Sometimes to get that calorie conscious, you need to calorie count for 3-4 days of everything, and then you understand that, okay, so what I ate yesterday was 1,800, 2,200 calories in the day. But once you know that, you have that internal understanding of what's going on, then you can pretty much follow this plan to the T. And it should work very, very, very well for the vast majority of people out there. So I hope you can see the whiteboard well. First of all, we're going to start off with the day, okay? And this is just a normal pie chart, or if you think of your dinner plate, okay? It's a round circle, and it's got different segments, okay? Now, just less than half of your whole daily plate needs to be green veggies, okay? Any green vegetable you can think of, whether it's kale, spinach, broccoli, bok choy, asparagus, mind blank, but you can think of them, okay? So they're your green veggies, and they need to make up almost half of your day, purely because of the amount of vitamins and minerals and nutrients that are in them, plus they're high in fiber, they're low in calories, they're gonna make you very full, and they're gonna pack your body full of nutrients. Because it's okay to be in a calorie deficit, it's not okay to be in a nutritional deficit, okay? That's when you become malnourished and you end up getting very sick. Okay, next up we've got protein. Whether you're a vegetarian or a carnivore, protein is a fundamental building block of our life. In fact, some of the sickest people out there are vegetarians who have just decided to cut out a section of their diet, as in I'm not going to eat any more meat, and they haven't educated themselves how to get enough protein from their vegetables, okay? So that's a whole nother video, okay? Make sure you're getting your protein, whether it's from animal products or from your vegetables, okay? But that is about a quarter of your daily intake, okay? Next up, we've got fat and fruit. They're both probably about, I wasn't that good at maths, maybe a sixth of the plate there each. Okay, so your fats, you know, you've got things like avocado, your olive oil, your coconut oil, your nuts and seeds. Yeah, your cheeses a little bit you can dip into. Most of the time your proteins are gonna have fats with them. And if you're cooking your green vegetables and you wanna increase your fats, then you'd put a little bit of pasture-fed butter or some coconut oil on them, or some sesame oil, something like that, to add it a little bit of zing and flavor, okay? Your fruit, yes, you still want to eat fruit. Fruit is very good for you. It's very high in minerals and nutrients. You don't want to cut that out of your lifestyle. You just want to be a little bit sensible about how you're going to eat it. And quite frankly, most of us don't eat enough fruit. So it's really only for the person that eats like 8 pieces of fruit a day that wants to be a little bit more sensible about it. But for the vast majority of people, you don't eat enough fruit, add it in. Get it in there and make sure it's about a sixth of your plate. Now above that is carbs. If you can see that, it's a small little section up the top. And again, that's probably about 30% of your daily intake. When I say carbs, I mean your complementary carbs. So things like your couscous, your brown rice, pasta, your bread, okay? They complement a meal, they don't make a meal, okay? So when you've got your veggies and your meat, and then maybe some couscous with some diced capsicum, mushroom through it or something, make it a little bit tasty, okay? Now, that is your daily percentage intake. So how do we make that to the average person? Well, someone gave us some incredible measuring tool called a hand, and you take that everywhere you go. So it's one of the best instruments that you can use. Now, a piece of protein for most people is going to be just the palm. So if I cut my fingers off, my thumb off, and my wrist off, that slab of meat there, both thickness and in size, that is a serving of protein. And I want to have several of those to make up my quarter of the pie chart there. Complementary carbohydrates is going to be just my fingers, okay? So that's one piece of bread for me. That's a serving of couscous, or a serving of rice, or a serving of pasta. That much for me. Your hand is smaller or bigger, so that's what makes your meal customized to yourself, okay? Now your fats is generally 3 fingers. A piece of fruit is a fist. A serving of salad is 2 open hands, like you're catching a ball. And then a serving of vegetables is 1 large hand, okay? So if you can fit your vegetables there, excuse me, if you can fit your vegetables there, that's 1 serving. And you do that to create your allotted calorie intake for the day. And you're gonna be pretty close to it most of the time. And then try to hit those percentages using those hand signals to get the required amount. Okay, then moving over into meal timing, okay? So for AM, you want proteins, your green veggies, and your carbs, okay? You wanna have carbs in the morning, they're gonna give you a little bit more energy. You wanna use green vegetables to bulk out the meal. You know, wilted spinach with a couple of poached eggs on a slice of toast, awesome breakfast. Noon, lunchtime, again, you wanna have protein, green vegetables, and carbs. Dinner time, you want to have protein, green vegetables, and fats, okay? You want to try and reduce your carbs. You've still got green veggies in there, but you want to have fats instead of carbs, because you, for 2 reasons. 1, you don't necessarily need as much energy when you're about to go to bed, and 2, because insulin, which is one of the main fat storing hormones within the body, responds less to fat than it does to carbs. We don't want an insulin spike. We want to get rid of our insulin as quick as possible, so that whilst we're sleeping, we're in a fasted state, and we will open the doors to our fat burning supplies that little bit faster. For our morning tea and afternoon tea, you can have fruit and protein, or fruit or protein, depending on what phase in your diet and you are, if you're trying to lose weight, or if you're building muscle, or if you're maintaining, a little bit of both. Obviously, if you're allowed more calories because you've got a nice big hand, or you're trying to gain muscle, then you can have fruit and protein. If you're trying to lose weight, I'd probably have one or the other, or a small serving of each. Okay, so there's your 5 meals a day. Now, coming over to here, alternate day calorie consumption is something that's really beneficial, and when you get it right, it will change your life forever, because you no longer need to calorie count, you no longer feel restricted, you no longer hate dieting, and you probably won't hit any more plateaus, okay? So up the top, you can see the 1,800 calories per day. Now, the average female, she's gonna be on 1,800 to 1,500 calories. I do not recommend anyone being less than 1,500 calories per day, or that's called a starvation diet, and you're only gonna set yourself up for failure, okay? So 1,800 to 1,500 calories for the average female, and 24 to 2,000 calories per day for the average male. Of course, this is gonna be completely dependent on your size and your weight and your goals, but that's average, okay? So looking at this as an average, 1,800 calories per day for 7 days is 12,600 calories for the week, okay? Now, if I go into flexible dieting here and throw in a little bit of intermittent fasting and alternate day calorie consumption, I've got on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, I'm allowed to eat 2,000 calories. As I was saying before, that's gonna be quite a lot of calories for the average female, and that's our maintenance phase for a male. So you're adjusting this according to your goals and who you are. So 4 days a week, I get 2,000 calories, right? That's fairly luxurious if we supposedly need to hit 1,500 calories for a weight loss and calorie deficit. And then on Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday, we're gonna hit 1,500 calories. Now, for the average person who's dieting, that's still a good sized meal or amount of food for the day. You shouldn't feel too hungry for that, especially if your food comes from these choices over here, okay? Because they're gonna be nutrient rich, fiber rich, they're gonna fill you up and keep you going for longer. Okay, now if I have this 4 days of lots of calories, 3 days of not as many calories, I've actually consumed 12,500 calories, which is 100 calories less per week than if I was just on 1,800 calories per day. So now I've had 4 rather luxurious or cheat days or relaxed days. I've had 3 slightly restricted days, but in total, I've eaten less calories because your body doesn't have a 24-hour clock of how many calories I've consumed. And I would argue it doesn't even have a 7-day clock of how many calories you consume. But if you start thinking on a 7-day, then you're more likely to hit success in the long run rather than focusing on 24 hours in a block, okay? So that's actually very relaxed and very comfortable. It gives you the freedom to go out on a Friday and Saturday and have dinner with your friends and splurge, have a 500 calorie meal instead of a 250 or 320 calorie meal, which is what most meals are gonna be the 320 up to 450 calories, okay? The second thing that we can do is if we, so how are we gonna achieve these 3 days of 1,500 calories? Well, there's one thing you can do is you can cut out your snacks, so no morning tea or afternoon tea, so you're just having 3 meals a day. The second thing you can do is still have your 5 meals a day, but the smaller portions. And the third thing that you can do that I personally enjoy doing is intermittent fasting. So instead of having breakfast and morning tea, the first meal I eat is at lunchtime, which means from dinner the night before through to lunchtime the next day, I'm fasted, which is giving me 16 to 18 hours of fasted state, which is a whole nother video and absolutely worth its weight in gold to check out. So if I intermittent fast or I reduce my portion sizes on those 3 days, and I've got these 4 luxurious days, or even instead of on Wednesday having 2,000 calories, I could have 1,500 calories on Wednesday as well, which then would give me 2,500 calories on a Friday, which is really quite a big blowout. Most people would enjoy that. That gives you popcorn and the movies kind of stuff. And that's not dieting. It doesn't feel like you're restricted then, so you're more likely to succeed because of course the best diet for you is the diet that you can stay on. Now, if we do all of these things, we don't have to eliminate our treats, but rather we earn our treats through increasing our exercise and being diligent with our daily calorie intake through these 7 days here. And if you can get all of these things right, now you've got a sensible diet, you're going to lose weight, you're going to be well nourished, and you're going to see success because it's easy, it's sustainable, and you're in it for the long haul. And it just becomes a way of life. So you can make up your list of proteins, green veggies, carbs, fats, and fruits. They're very easy to research. I'll have a list for you if you want, but jump online, find those foods that fit into that category, and from there, you circle the foods that you love, and that's what makes up your nutrition plan. And now, you know how to flexible diet. You don't have to buy anyone else's program, and you don't have to follow any calorie counting or macros or measuring all of your food and meal prep and all that stuff that just consumes too much time. Earn your treats, don't cut them out, and you won't feel restricted. You can stay on your lifestyle plan for a little bit longer because that's not a diet, it's about living better. So look after yourself because you two will be together for a while.